is Histories and Mysteries. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jessica. And on this week's episode, Ashley is going to be talking about ancient Egyptian curses.
Mm-hmm.
And I am going to be talking about, drum roll, Queen Nefertiti.
Woo! Yeah, Jessica told me that she was going to do Nefertiti. So I was like, ooh, I'll do something Egyptian as well. So we can do our Egyptian episode.
Woo!
And we
I
all
love
know that
Egypt.
Jessica loves ancient Egypt. So this is her episode.
I got my guy in the background. For those of you that can't see, it's my signed mummy poster by
Signed by
Brendan
who, Jessica?
Brendan Fraser.
Hey.
I love you.
I do too. I love all the press he was getting for the Oscars and stuff, all of his interviews, and he's so cute.
So cute.
He had his sons there, and he was telling dad jokes, and they were just like, "Oh, it's really
I know,
cute."
it's super cute.
Yeah.
Anyways, Egypt week.
Yeah.
I'm
And
so excited.
I do have to say that kind of like with the Stanley Hotel, like there's not a lot. So you hear like ancient Egypt and like the curses and the mummies and like the tombs and all that stuff. And you're like, oh, it's not really true. None of it's really true. So there's not a lot about it.
Interesting.
But I did my best.
You always do.
So I've got my sources from History Today,
Ooh.
Canadian Museum of History.
What?
Yup. An article by Biel Noir. I am sorry if I butchered that name. From Scoop Empire, Business Insider, and The Guardian. So, and I'm not going to lie, some from Wikipedia. So,
Yep, there it is.
Sometimes Wikipedia just has things listed out so easily.
Wikipedia is really good at that.
It is. Okay, so in late 1922, a British archaeologist named Howard Carter. Yes. Found the tomb.
I was going to castrate you if you didn't do this one.
This was like really the only one.
Really?
So yeah. So I'll get into it a little bit later, but Howard Carter found the tomb of Tutankhamun. He was in an area that had a lot of pharaohs buried. But Tutankhamun was the first tomb they found to be almost completely undisturbed by thieves. So it was kind of a big deal.
I did a story on it.
Yes, she did. The fifth Earl of... God, I was going to look up how to say this. I'm just going to say this so we can keep this in. I just paused the recording to try and figure out how to say this guy's name. Because I looked up all the Egyptian ones and I forgot to look up the stupid English one that I can't pronounce. And I still feel like it's not right, but we're going to go with it. So
I say you just go with the one I like.
What was yours again?
Carnarvon.
Yeah.
It's not how it's spelled, but I like it better than Carnarvon.
Yeah, the little pronunciation lady said it's Carnarvon. So the fifth Earl of Carnarvon, which Jessica also pointed out probably sounds much better in an English accent.
Carnarvon.
Probably something like that, yeah. Anyway, so the fifth Earl of Carnarvon joined Howard Carter to explore the tombs as he was the one financing the operation. People around the world warned them of something called the Pharaoh's Curse. And everybody was talking about this. It was everywhere, blah, blah, blah. The Pharaoh's Curse, or also called the Mummy Curse, is cast upon anyone who disturbs the mummy of an ancient Egyptian, especially a pharaoh. The curse will attack thieves or archaeologists, it doesn't matter, and it will cause bad luck, illness, or death. But this curse is mostly found in private tombs in the Old Kingdom, so that's going to be 2700 to 2200 BC. And there's actually nothing inscribed in any way in Tutankhamun's tomb. There was no curse or anything.
Nope.
But not long after this opening of the tomb, Earl of Carnarvon died in Cairo at the age of 56 of blood poisoning after a mosquito bite became infected.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? So I would like to point out that my internet just went out again, the one that is plugged into the wall. It's the curse. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so at the same time that he died, all of the lights in the city went out in Cairo.
What?
Yeah. I
Like at the
also
very moment he died?
I don't know if it was the very moment, but and I read this in like one article, so I didn't put it in here because it was just like a fleeting thing. But someone said that his dog died at that same time too. I know, I know.
Oh,
And I'm sure we've all heard of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, right? Wrote,
oh yeah,
yeah,
Sherlock
Sherlock
Holmes.
Holmes. He said that he believed it was an evil elemental spirit created by priests to protect the mummy that caused Carnarvon's death.
Ooh. Dun, dun, dun.
So, of the people who have entered or visited the tomb, these are the ones that have died. And I'm going to try with these names. Prince Ali Kamel Fahmy Bey of Egypt was shot dead by his wife in 1923. Sir Archibald Douglas Reed, he was the one who x rayed the mummy. He died mysteriously in 1924.
Whoa.
Sir Lee Stack was assassinated in Cairo in 1924. Arthur Mace, who was part of the excavation team, died of arsenic poisoning in 1928. Howard Carter's secretary, Richard Bethel, died smothered in his bed in 1929. And Howard's father died by suicide in 1930. George J. Gold I, who was a visitor to the tomb, died in the French Riviera on May 16th, 1923, after he developed a fever. A.C. Mace, a member of the excavation team, died in April 28th died in April of 1928 from pneumonia. And Howard Carter himself died of Hodgkin's disease in 1939 at the age of 64. So Howard Carter lived quite a bit longer, but after the tombs, but he still went out in a pretty horrible way. Hodgkin's disease is pretty awful.
So, do you think that it was actually a curse, or do you think it was just a series of really bad luck?
I don't know, man. So at first I was like, okay, this is, you know me, I'm pretty skeptical. And I was like, nah, I don't really believe in curses that much. But I mean, I do. Oh, fuck, my internet went out again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm back. Um, but then when I was reading all these deaths and the way they died, I don't know, man. That's pretty creepy. I mean,
Yeah, but the 1920s were fucking wild, man.
that's true, but like arsenic poisoning, smothered in their bed, assassinated, like those are some crazy deaths.
I guess it just the only thing that is really off to me is that if it was a curse, it should have been something that was more sudden.
Yeah. So my internet went out again and we're back.
Ugh.
So this tomb did not have a curse, like we said, found anywhere, but that is not the case with Ankh-Tifi's tomb. So Ankh-Tifi was a governor of Egypt, and he actually had his whole autobiography on the walls of his tomb. He
That's cool.
talked about, yeah, and it's where I guess archaeologists got a lot of knowledge about this time. He talked about how he reestablished order of the land, his resistance of Thebes, and the suffering of the Egyptian people. Um, and quote, any ruler who shall do evil or wickedness to this coffin, may Haman, a local deity, not accept any goods he offers, and may his heir not inherit. So that was kind of his curse that he also had on his tomb.
Cool. I wanted to say about King Tut's tomb,
Yeah.
it was constructed in like a rush,
Yeah.
essentially, right? Like his burial was pretty rushed because it was so unexpected that he died at such a
Mm-hmm.
young age.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure it was rushed.
So maybe they just didn't have time to put up anything.
Yeah.
Interesting. There's another tomb of Kentika, and that is in the sixth dynasty, and it contains the inscription, "As for all men who shall enter this my tomb impure, there will be judgment. An end shall be made for him. I shall seize his neck like a bird. I shall cast the fear of myself into him." So those ones,
Are
um,
very deliberate and
yes, yes. Uh,
scary.
very, very curse written there. And the kind of the more common era of the curses written in the tombs are the fifth and sixth dynasties. And they, if you can find a lot of these in what is called the Sakura, or yeah, Saqqara,
Sakara.
Saqqara,
Sakara.
the Saqqara tomb, which is the oldest stone building complex that we know of in history. And they have kind of flat tops. And
Yeah.
most of the people there were buried in the Old Kingdom, which again is 2575 to 2150 BCE. And archaeologists have found about 160 different coffins at this site. Some of the walls are inscribed with curses, like the ones I just read.
Yeah. And there's a documentary about it on Netflix.
There is, yes. And one of the, I think she was interviewed in the documentary. Her name is Salima Ikram. She's an Egyptologist at the American University in Cairo. Said that they generally state, quote, they generally state that if the tomb is entered by an impure person, probably in body and or intention, then may the council of the gods punish the trespasser and wring his or her neck like that of a goose.
Mhm.
So those are the general kind of curses. And then Vizier Ankmor, a pharaoh official who lived more than 4,000 years ago during Egypt's sixth dynasty, was buried in what's called is it a mastaba?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, it's an above ground tomb shaped like a rectangular box. And the curse meant to protect him, roughly translated as so warns that anything a trespasser, quote, might do against this my tomb, the same shall be done to your property. It also warns of the vizier's knowledge of secret spells and magic and threatens to fill impure intruders with a fear of seeing ghosts.
Yep. Tomb robbers.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Another tomb a bit further back in time, the fifth dynasty, was raided by tomb robbers who weren't very good because they got caught like right away and they were arrested.
Yeah.
But this led archaeologists to graves of three royal dentists. One was a chief dentist, the other two were dentists below him, I guess, and they treated pharaohs and their families. So that's why they had this kind of elaborate tomb. It wasn't as great as a pharaoh's tomb, obviously. They weren't as wealthy. These tombs did not contain their mummies. They were built of mud, brick, and limestone, not the pure limestone that ancient Egyptians usually used in their upper class. But they did have an inscription that anyone who violated the sanctity of the grave would be eaten by a crocodile and a snake.
Oh.
So, getting very
Oh.
specific in these threats.
How horrifying would it be to have a snake eat you?
Ugh. Ugh.
There was a lady that was eaten by, I believe, an anaconda.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, like, would you be okay, Jessica, archaeologist in ancient Egypt? You come upon this tomb, you walk in, you can read ancient Egyptian, obviously, and you read a curse inscribed in the walls. Would you freak out?
Mhm. No.
No.
No. No. I, if I'm as good of an Egyptologist as you think I am, I would know how to kind of appease them,
Mm-hmm.
offer up an offering.
Yeah,
Just let them know I'm not here to disturb your place. I'm here to learn your story
love it.
and then
I
just
would
go about
probably
my
freak out.
business.
I mean, not like outwardly, but like inwardly, I'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
crap. All right, I
Yeah.
have one last story. It's about Osiris, the god of death.
I love him.
So, Walter Bryan Emery had discovered a small statue of Osiris during an excavation back in 1971. And for some reason, he decided to take the statue back to the dig site headquarters at the end of the day with him. And he even brought it home with him. Which,
Ew.
why?
Why?
Once he
You
got
don't do that shit. You don't bring that shit home.
right, and this will be why. So, once he got home, he decided to take a shower and he had an aide that lived with him. I don't know if it was like I'm assuming it was his archaeological aide that just was like staying with him or something while they were doing this dig. Um, but he said he heard Walter crying from the bathroom, so he went to check on him and found him gripping the sink, not moving. His aide said that Walter was just standing there paralyzed. The aide said, I took his shoulders in my hands and dragged him onto the couch. Then I dashed for the phone. Walter was diagnosed with right side paralysis and when I was unable to communicate, and he passed away the next day.
What?
Yeah. Isn't that
Okay,
crazy?
that's crazy. But honestly, don't bring that shit home.
Right? I feel like that's the
Like,
first rule of
that's the thing.
archaeology.
That's why I wouldn't be afraid because I wouldn't be stupid.
Yeah.
And I'm using that
100%.
word because that guy was fucking stupid.
He was stupid.
Yeah.
All right, let's shift from kind of creepy ancient Egypt and go to cool ancient Egypt and hear about
Ooh,
Nefertiti.
it's my turn.
It's your turn. I'm very excited.
I'm so excited. I don't know. I'm really excited. I don't know why I'm like, I've never gotten so excited that it's like my turn to go. I'm so excited. I just get excited.
I'm about to lose control. And I think
I
I
think I
like
like
it.
it. Ooh.
Keeping that in.
Okay, so I used All That's Interesting, of course, Britannica, and National Geographic. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So, Queen Nefertiti.
Mm.
I looked up the pronunciations for these ancient Egyptian names.
Mhm.
So I'm really sorry if I still say them wrong, but I have pronunciation. I did my best,
We're doing our
okay?
best.
My best. For good reason. The bust of Nefertiti is arguably one of the most famous and frequently imitated pieces of ancient Egyptian art. Like you see that shit everywhere. Are you looking it up?
I am. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. She's yeah, very famous. Glowing passages describe her radiance, like the one found engraved on a stela at Amarna, Egypt. And it said, the leading woman of all the nobles, great in the palace, perfect of appearance, beautiful in the double plume, the mistress of joy who is united with favor, whose voice people rejoice to hear, great wife of the king, his beloved, the great mistress of the two lands, Neferneferuatim.
If you don't write that in my obituary about me,
Right? Isn't
that's
that great?
amazing.
Sorry, I gotta get Yeah, isn't that like the greatest?
Yeah, that's amazing.
So, did you like my pronunciation? Her full name is Neferneferuatin
Okay.
or Nefertiti.
I like Nefertiti.
Yeah. The famed queen and her husband, Pharaoh Akhenaten.
Never heard of him, but I've heard of Nefertiti. Boom. Sorry, go ahead. Girl
Oh
power.
my God. They reorganized Egypt's governmental and religious priorities during their rule over the country at a period of great cultural upheaval.
Oh.
As a woman in Egyptian court, she also had unheard of power. So she'd a bitch boss. Boss
Yeah.
bitch. But in the midst of her husband's 17-year rule, Nefertiti abruptly disappeared from history in the 12th year. So 12 years into his 17-year rule, she just disappeared. Wiped out.
Go.
I'll get into it.
Okay.
Her disappearance has perplexed historians for ages, making her life and legacy a subject of intense intrigue. So, although not much is although not much is known about her early years, Nefertiti is said to have been born around 1370 BC and may have been raised in the town of Akhmim, where she was also the niece or the daughter of a government official by the name of Ai. Ai was King Tut's chief advisor and succeeded him as pharaoh in 1323 BC. Nefertiti, according to certain historians, was originally a princess who came from the northern Syrian Mitanni kingdom. Nefertiti was rumored to have preferred the Egyptian sun god Aten over other gods, as was customary among the ancient Egyptians.
Hmm.
Regardless of her lineage, Nefertiti wed Amenhotep IV at the age of 15.
Hmm.
The ninth pharaoh of the 18th dynasty was Amenhotep III, often known as Amenhotep the Magnificent.
Oh, the Magnificent.
By the time Amenhotep IV ascended to the throne, Egyptians who revered Amun, the god of the sun and the air, had amassed sufficient money and renown to oppose the pharaoh's authority.
If you could be goddess of anything, what would you be goddess of, Jessica?
Like, am I picking a goddess that I want to be?
No, like you're the god, you're goddess Jessica. What are you a goddess of?
Animals.
Oh, I love that.
Because then I can talk to them
Yeah.
and help all the little baby dogs that are abandoned.
I love I was gonna say of the ocean, but I like yours better.
I want to be over a goddess of the creatures of the earth.
Yeah, I like that one. I'm stealing that one. I'm gonna be that too.
And then I can bring dodos back.
And blue-footed boobies. They're very cute.
Yeah, I'd love to be a goddess of animals
I
and
love that.
creatures.
That's great.
Thanks. What you said ocean, right? Originally?
Yeah, yeah, but I like yours better.
Sorry.
But I do have to say, when I say ocean, I mean like all the creatures in it too.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to just be goddess of like water. That's lame.
That's Poseidon.
Goddess of
Lamo.
salty water. Oh, cool.
You can
But
drown your enemies.
didn't Poseidon also talk to like the fish and stuff? Like, didn't he?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, that's what I'd want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah,
Okay,
cool.
sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. Um, Amenhotep IV desecrated Amun's titles and symbols while making Aten the center of religious life. In his first year, he began construction on a number of Aten temples at the Karnak temple complex close to Luxor. Amenhotep even attempted to change the plural gods to the singular god, according to Egyptologist James Allen.
Oh.
To historians, this change represented his intention to unify his and Nefertiti's power. Amenhotep IV later changed his name to Akhenaten, which means the living spirit of Aten, in the 5th year of his rule.
Okay, just changing our names now. Sure, sure, sure. Oh, hi,
Cattail.
Cattail.
Don't go on my laptop. Nefertiti added Nefertiti onto her name, which in full translated to beautiful are the beauties of Aten, a beautiful woman has come. Well, my name just
Wow.
right.
My name's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Yep. The couple then moved the capital northward towards the sun in Amarna. They ruled with such unprecedented power that it's even believed Nefertiti may have been a pharaoh herself.
Oh.
The idealized depictions of precious pharaohs were abandoned. The iconography of Nefertiti gradually evolved into being almost indistinguishable from Akhenaten,
Ooh.
whereas depictions of Akhenaten featured somewhat feminine hips and greatly exaggerated features.
Of course.
Yeah. This marked a clear break from the traditional young woman she had previously been perceived as, although considerably more regal than her pre-royal representations, which showed that she wielded equal power to Akhenaten. Her final images during his reign returned to more of a realistic version of her, which I don't know which is better or worse.
Yeah.
Egyptologists and historians think Nefertiti and Akhenaten ruled side by side because Nefertiti was frequently shown next to the pharaoh on the walls of temples and tombs built during his reign.
Ooh. Good for her.
Right? Maybe they actually liked each other.
Maybe. That's so
Wasn't just
odd for
like
that
a
time.
marriage of convenience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nefertiti is the most frequently shown Egyptian queen with her pharaoh. Many representations featured Queen Nefertiti in commanding roles, actually. Whether she was waging war, directing the worship of Aten, or driving a chariot.
Ooh.
She was even specifically shown wearing a pharaoh's crown in a number of reliefs. Akhenaten married other women after she gave. Wow. Akhenaten married other women after Nefertiti had given birth to 6 daughters,
Oh gosh.
including his own sister, with whom he had King Tutankhamun.
Oh. Yeah, that's real gross, but very common.
Yeah. Ankhesenamun, Nefertiti's third child,
I love that name.
right?
Yeah.
It's like Anaxinamun, kind of
Yeah,
close.
yeah.
Yeah. Ankhesenamun was Nefertiti's third child, and she eventually became King Tut's wife.
So
So,
her stepbrother,
the half
half
brother,
brother, half brother. Okay.
half brother, and then it's Nefertiti's uh nephew, son-in-law.
Okay. Well, half brother's better than full brother.
Yeah, yeah, very true. Nefertiti abruptly vanished. Like she just went peace the fuck out, man.
That's crazy, especially because she was so prominent.
She was so prominent and she made so many changes
Yeah.
and was possibly like co-ruling Egypt alongside her husband,
Right. So how
which
do you
is,
just disappear? That's crazy.
yeah. Following her husband's 12-year rule of Egypt, Queen Nefertiti vanished from all representations, although the majority of historians have concluded she just died. But there is still no agreement as to what actually happened.
Yeah, because you'd think if she died, she would have a huge tomb for her, or at
Mhm.
least have a room in her husband's tomb, especially because, like we said, she was so prominent.
Yeah. Other experts have a more intriguing theory, which is that she deceived the public by dressing as a man.
Oh,
This would have happened after Akhenaten promoted her from queen to co-regent, with equal authority to the pharaoh, but there was no direct proof of this, of course. Another theory stated that she was expelled from Egypt when Amun-Ra worship was reinstated after Akhenaten's rule. Or the other theory is that it was because she didn't produce any because she only produced daughters and not male heirs.
Okay.
So as opposed to going King Henry VIII and beheading his wife, he could have just banished her.
And didn't want to tell anybody because she was so beloved.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Another group of academics say that she acted alone as pharaoh.
Oh.
Some historians contend that Akhenaten was the one who actually passed away, and that Smenkhare, the pharaoh who succeeded him, was actually Nefertiti in disguise.
Oh, interesting.
And it is really interesting because if you think about it, they were ruling side by side forever, right? For
Mm-hmm.
most of his rule, he even promoted her to co-regent.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like he was getting her ready
To rule, like he knew
to
he was
rule.
sick or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I really like that
Interesting.
theory.
I think that's the happiest theory.
Yeah. Despite having these theories, there isn't a lot of evidence to actually back it up because obviously if shit's not written down, and I just got chills. If we found her freaking tomb, that would answer so many questions.
And weren't you saying that they think they may have found it?
Yes, yes, off camera, I was telling Ashley that while I was researching this story, I had seen an article and a little video clip indicating that they may have found Nefertiti's tomb inside of King Tut's chamber.
So what would that mean?
It's the reason that they think it might be her is because they haven't been able to find her in the obvious spots. And two, it's the fact that he was her nephew and son-in-law, right? So she was
Mhm.
close knit in there, essentially.
Did they find King Tut's wife, her daughter?
I don't think so. Like, I'm pretty sure the tomb was just his.
So then why would we think it's Nefertiti and not his wife?
I don't know, man.
Oh.
I just,
Jessica, I need answers.
I'm just spouting what I read. I wonder if his wife and child have been found. Weird. Maybe not, because she probably would have gone off to marry somebody else after he tragically died. So she might be buried with them.
Yeah, yeah.
So, if Akhenaten did pass away, it's plausible that Nefertiti undid her husband's religious practices as the new pharaoh. It is known that during Akhenaten's rule, Nefertiti asked a scribe to prepare divine gifts to Amun in a desperate attempt to quell the disturbance brought on by her husband's conversion to religion.
Hmm.
Because after he had passed, his successor changed everything.
Okay, okay.
It is not unprecedented for her to have posed as a man, though. Hatshepsut, a female pharaoh who governed Egypt in the 15th century BC, did so herself and even wore a ceremonial fake beard.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
One final theory, however, is that Nefertiti died by suicide
Hmm.
when one of her daughters died during childbirth at the age of 13.
Oh, God.
Yet, once more, It would be so hard to know if that was even true or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, oh, here we go. I get to what I was just talking about.
I love it when I do that.
Yeah. So, in Tutankhamun's tomb, Egyptologists Nicholas Reeves and Mamdouh El-Damidi discovered what they think to be a secret entrance. And they discovered this in 2015.
Oh.
There are structural oddities inside that point to a hidden space that could house Nefertiti's sarcophagus.
Oh.
A ground penetrating radar survey conducted in the vicinity of King Tutankhamun's tomb was described in a report that appeared in the journal called Nature in February 2020. The discovery supported Reeves's hypothesis that a larger concealed tomb was located inside the king's burial chamber. Ground penetrating radar data from Al-Damadi was described as tremendously interesting by Egyptologist Ray Johnson at the University of Chicago's Oriental Institute in Luxor, Egypt.
And it would make sense that of any of those theories, even if it was the happy theory, or anything of that nature, they wouldn't want one, people to know that she died, so they would hide her body, or two, they wouldn't want people to know where her body was if she was so beloved and,
They
powerful.
didn't
They
want
wouldn't want grave
anybody.
robbers. Yeah.
Exactly. Why not hide her in this magnificent?
Yeah. So I feel like that kind of fits all theories.
Yep. I like this. We're cracking the case.
We're cracking it.
Although the possibility of subterranean rooms beyond King Tut's tomb has been discussed among experts for decades, some have completely rejected the concept, while others have recruited private companies to look into it.
Oh.
Nobody has opened or entered the secret chamber in question so far.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm assuming it's structural.
I would say, is it just too dangerous to get in there or would do
Yeah.
too much damage?
I think they just want to try and do as much radar scanning as possible, make sure that, yeah, everything's safe. And
Yeah, that makes sense.
in addition to Al-Damadi's evidence, the fact that Nefertiti's daughter was married to King Tut gives circumstantial support to the idea that her remains were interred in this tomb. Yet, for the time being, all that remains of Nefertiti are historical images, ideas, and relics, such as the famous limestone bust on display at a Berlin museum. And it's really cool because if you look up that, like her bust,
Uh-huh.
her actual bust, it looks like one of her eyes is kind of white or glazed over or even
Yeah.
missing.
Yeah.
And they think that that means that she had an ophthalmological problem.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense because her one eye is there. Like
Yeah,
they have a detail there of like a pupil.
yeah,
And it's not like that's worn, it doesn't look like it's worn lighter, whereas like maybe that one got completely worn off.
yeah. So they think that she might have had an eye issue,
Okay.
and
She
that's
is
why it
very
looks like that.
beautiful.
She really is, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. The bust was discovered at the workshop of an ancient Egyptian sculptor, Thutmose, by the German Oriental Company in Amarna, and they found that in 1912. So before King Tut, I believe, right?
Yeah, King Tut was 1920 something.
I think it was 1922. Lead archaeologist Ludwig Borchardt recounted the discovery in his diary. Quote, "Suddenly, we had our hands on the most alive Egyptian artwork. You cannot describe it with words. You must see it." Unquote.
Oh, I love that. He's so excited.
So excited. The sculpture's impact on the globe has been as significant as Borchardt's, and it is still one of the most popular attractions at the Berlin Museum. Not only is the sculpture recognized across the world, but the bust of Nefertiti is also one of the most imitated works from ancient Egypt.
Oh,
Millennia after her death, Nefertiti continues to influence art and our understanding of history, her legacy of power and beauty is simply breathtaking.
Oh, good wording.
Thanks.
I
But
only hope
yeah,
that centuries and centuries after I'm gone, someone remembers me.
right? And like they had such beautiful things to say to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they had such beautiful things to say about her.
Yeah.
Like amazing. I don't know. This like story just like made me so happy.
Yeah.
I love ancient Egypt.
Well, and it's crazy too because I didn't know anything about her. I didn't know that she had just disappeared. That's crazy.
Yeah. So the reason I was starting that I really wanted to do an Egypt story today was because somehow my TikTok for you page just got flooded with like video after video of like Egyptian videos
Oh.
of people like visiting the tombs and the pyramids and stuff. And then I was watching the show Next in Fashion.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that
And
show.
yeah, and one of the guys at the very beginning was like super interested in ancient Egypt. He even wore like Nefertiti on his shirt.
Oh, and you're like, it's a sign I have to do this.
Yeah, literally, I'm like, oh, it's my sign. I guess I should do an Egyptian story. So that was really funny. Um, but yeah, so I'm glad I got to share that with
Yeah,
you.
that was awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Do you have any of your amazing jokes for us? Oh no.
Um, I poured root beer into a square glass. Now I just have beer.
I like that one. I have one. Where do mummies go for a swim?
The Nile.
The Dead Sea.
I have a joke.
Okay.
Uh, it was said by Pedro Pascal. Why did the monkey fall out of the tree?
Oh, because it died.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how he says it.
Yeah,
Oh, I love
because he died.
that.
Yeah.
Well, if you want more of us lovely ladies, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
And if you'd like to rate and review us, you can do so on Apple Podcast and Spotify.
Thanks for listening, and we look forward to bringing you two new stories next week.
Bye.
Bye.